Hi, I'm Thalia. I am the new volunteer assistant to programming at TAAFI, Toronto Animation Arts Festival International. And I am here with my friend Doron Meir, who is going to talk to us about his long career and his book, Creative Workflow, which is a real gem. And so yeah, take it away. Tell us about yourself, Doron. Introduce yourself to our viewing audience.
Hello, I'm Doron. I started as a 2D animator in '95 and did that for a few years, then transitioned into 3D animation. Did that for a few years, and then I went to Copenhagen, work on Asterix and the Vikings. And then after that, I wanted to stay in Copenhagen a little bit because it's a great place. So I actually got into a game company called IO Interactive. We worked on Hitman and Kane and Lynch. I was doing some story there and 3D animation and mock-up stuff and all sorts of stuff that I don't usually do. So that was cool. And then yeah, and then I started directing.
Was that? Sorry, when was it that you were at the game studio? Sorry,
like that was 2005. Yeah, 5 to 6. Yeah.
Very cool.
Something like that. Yeah. And then I came back to Israel, which is where I'm from. I worked on. Started directing there. I directed some TV episodes for Roadrunner with a great team that we had, and then some other stuff, and then I came to Canada, to Vancouver, to work on My Little Pony, the film, the movie, in which we worked together with Thalia, and I was have the story, and you were a storyboard artist, and then from then on I've been boarding and directing, worked on the Willoughbys. Oh, before that, I worked on this is sort of an inspirational drawing, like looking for gags for Secret Life of Pets.
Oh, right, Secret Life of Pets. Yeah, I keep forgetting. That's like the little gap in there that you just kind of disappeared for a while, and I didn't see you.
So yeah, and now I'm working at a great studio called Doberman Studios. And we're working for we're doing a DreamWorks TV series.
Nice. Yeah, Doberman's awesome. There's some really great people there. So, Doron, please tell us lots of stories. I'm just going to sit here and let you talk as much as possible. Try not to interrupt every 5 seconds.
Yeah. So, what do you want to start with? Do you want to start with the workflow, with the book, or
I think let's start with the book. I kind of want I'd love for you to kind of go into how you started writing that book, the process that you went through, because you took some time off as well to finish it, right? But you were working on it for years.
I worked on it for 15 years.
Jesus. Oh man, I can't imagine working on anything for 15 years that I didn't birth out of my womb.
Me either. I don't know how I did it.
No, so when did you start? This was published in 2016, correct? Or 2017?
2017, I think, yeah.
Okay, 2017. And so you started in 2002.
2004. So
okay.
What on the book? 2004, yeah, 4 or 5. So the story goes, I worked on Asterix and the Vikings. That was my first feature film, and it was a really good production in terms of like high quality animation, high quality animators.
I don't want to stop you, but when I was in college, me and my classmates watched Asterix and the Vikings. It was some of the best. Like 2D animation wasn't really being done very much, so we were very, very hyped about it.
Yeah, it was that kind of that I was hyped about it myself, and that's why I actually moved to a different country. Other than the adventure, I was like, I want to do that, because it was actually the last, big 2D production, like big budget in Europe for a long time.
So I'm just gonna put my phone into silent here.
Yeah. So anyway, so the project, even though I was already teaching and I was already in animation for a while, you know, I wasn't really up to it at that time.
Mhm.
So I really struggled with you know, to get to that level of the, you know, to the level everybody else was working at. And I was making stupid mistakes, like mistakes that I knew about, mistakes that I was teaching people how to not do back home. All of a sudden, I'm in this project and I'm making mistakes that I absolutely know about, and feeling, you know, stressed and overwhelmed.
Was this when you animated that big fight scene that was completely obscured by a cloud and you spent like 2 weeks on it?
That was my first project. That one was okay. So let's tell that story real quick. So that story is that, so the first assignment I got on Asterix and the Vikings, that was 9 characters having a fish fight.
A fish fight,
Fist
fist
fight.
fight. A fish fist fight. There were fish
Exactly.
and fists involved.
Exactly. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, Asterix tradition.
Yeah.
So I kind of went too deep into it, and nobody stopped me. So I kind of had a little story. Like if you watch the scene, it's like every character has its own little story in the thing, you know. So that guy jumps on that guy's head and he slaps the other guy, but the other guy pushes it, and it was all orchestrated and choreographed between those 9 characters doing the whole thing. And that took a whole month of very, very hard, taxing work to do. A whole month. I was really like, you know,
Yeah.
very, very aware of that it shouldn't take a whole month, this scene. And it's my first scene. I'm trying to make a good impression. So anyway, I complete it. I do the whole thing, and then I do other scenes. And then, but when we saw the finished thing, turns out they actually placed the whole sort of, so first of all, the main characters, which I didn't know, the main characters are actually Asterix and Obelix having a conversation in the foreground, like here, and the whole thing is just happening in the background. I didn't know about that at all. Yeah. But also, they're all covered with cloud, with a cloud.
It's all just a big dust cloud in front.
So you don't see any of that, And by the way, I think they actually added the dust because it was just, there was too much.
It was so distracting.
Stuff happening. It was too distracting from the main guys. But I didn't know about the main guys. And to some extent, I think it was, you know, like they should have told me, obviously.
Yeah.
But to another extent, it was also my fault for not really making sure I know what's going on.
What's going on in the scene.
Yeah, like what is the context? Is I call it the context of the scene. So that's something I'm trying to never.
So you're making mistakes like this while teaching other people how to not do these things. So you decided, I got to finish my book.
No, so that's so I was working really hard and really struggling, not really enjoying myself or really in stress. And then I read a book about script writing. Called Writing for Animation. It has nothing to do with animation. It's just writing scripts for TV. But that guy that wrote the book, he had such a good way of just, he didn't go into the whole, you know, how should a great script look like, which is what most of those books are doing. He was talking about how, you know, like the steps, do this at that point, don't do that at this point, you know, and it was very, it felt easy, you know, but also.
I just tried to find this book so we could cite the author, but I can't find it. Sorry, keep going.
I can help you out later. But but I also noticed that with this process, if you just change a few words, you know, from writing terminology to animation terminology, you actually get like some pretty solid advice for what I needed, you know, because my brain is all stressed up about animation and it's trying to find help anywhere you can. So here comes this book, and I'm like, oh, I can get some help from this. And I implemented those ideas, and then lo and behold, my animation got better, the stress level got down, and you know, like it really made a difference.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
So it's not even just the technique in script writing as much as the process.
Yeah, I kind of took it to that place, and then I thought, okay, you know what? I just became a better animator because I read a script writing book, and that kind of blew my mind. I was like, okay, so maybe you don't actually have to learn all these things separately. Maybe I can figure out how to do things, you know, like whatever, and just
just do things, you know.
Just distill the process. Go like, yeah, how do you do stuff, which is great, and how do you do it without the stress and the fear of failure and all that stuff that I was experiencing while working on Asterix. And so workflow, which is this thing.
Oh no! Put it in front of you. There you go. Oh no! Now you're invisible.
The magical book.
I wish I had my copy here. I could pull it out, but it is at home, so it's fine. So workflow, a practical guide to the creative process.
So that book is actually basically that's where it comes from. Vikings, from that sort of piece of suffering that I had, and that frustrating experience. Yeah. And a lot of that stuff is there. Like even the stuff we talked before about the, you know, with the cloud and all that
is getting a little janky. Just a heads up. So I'm losing you in bits and pieces.
Okay.
If I make a sudden surprised face, it's because you kind of froze.
Okay. Is it okay now?
Yeah, you seem okay.
Okay.
Keep going.
So yeah, so I was saying even the stuff that we talked about with the Asterix and the Vikings and all, and that context thing, that's also in the book, and all those little stories. Like I have a story there about the first shot. It's not a shot, but the first piece of animation I did for a Hitman, right? So my first gaming animation, and again, I'm like super, like I need to impress those people, right? It's my first game animation ever.
Did they throw it out, or?
What's that?
Did they see the animation and just be like, ah, it's garbage? Just throw it out?
No, they're nice people. But so what happened was that so it's a bank, it's a guard guarding a bank. That's what I knew. And you know, he just kind of stands there. So I'm like, okay, what am I gonna do? You know, it can't be just anything. You know, I have to impress those people. And then so my guard is like standing there with a gun or whatever, and he kind of rocks back and forth. And he looks around. Man, I can't see anything. And he's just like, okay, and he sways around like that. It's like a really specific animation.
Yeah.
I worked on it and polished it, and you know, liked it. And then I put it into the game engine. And that's the first time I realized, speaking of understanding context and making sure you know what you're doing, it's not one guard.
It's all of them. Oh.
All of them. It's like...
So every single guard is like, what's over there?
And they're all doing the same thing. And I was like, oh, you know, that's not what you need. What you actually need in this situation is a boring piece of animation.
Yeah.
So that it's not distracting.
So it doesn't stand out. Okay.
Exactly. So yeah, context is huge. You know, so much work is going sideways when people forget to look at context, and I see that all the time, and I really try to protect. You know, when I work with a team, when I direct, I really try to protect people from that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Make sure that they don't spend a month animating a background character that's going to be obscured behind a rock.
Like,
man.
Sometimes it's hard to get those. Like I remember way back when, just in the first 2 years of animating, I was also doing character design. My boss comes to me and says, so I need, like, he was like, you know, this guy that is always in stress, always like, he's running from here to there. So he was like, I need you to draw 3 characters, to design 3 characters. It's 3 kids. And then he just kind of ran away. I'm like, hey, what are they? What, can you give me a brief? And he was like, nah, just draw 3 kids. You know, this should be cute. It's like, yeah, but give me some. And I sort of, I had to press him. I had to kind of physically like, hey,
there's
stop
a
it. Can you
wide
tell me what
range
the
of
brief is?
kids. What are the kids doing? What are they for? Where are they? Where do they live? How old are they?
And so finally, I sort of nudge him enough for him to go like, okay. And then he went to his computer, and it turns out he actually had a printed brief.
Oh no!
So
And he
all
just
the characters, like exactly what they need to be and what their history and whatever.
I mean, good thing that you pressed him on it instead of just being like, yeah, kids. I know what kids look like.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, sometimes you actually have to fight for it, but usually it exists, and it's really helpful.
Okay, so you started writing the book, and obviously it took 15 years. So there's some gaps in there between Asterix when you started and 2018 when you published. So between 2004 to what period of time did you realize that you were going to actually need to stop doing animation work to focus on this book and actually get it done? When was that?
It happened in several. So the reason it took that long is that after taking a few years of kind of developing the ideas and really sort of shaping it, I decided to do a test run for the book in Hebrew. Mm-hmm. So I kind of self-printed, self-published a Hebrew version. Mm-hmm. And then I sold a few hundred copies of that, and sort of, try to
how was the reception?
Stuff like that. But that was done, and that was like 2011. Already.
Oh, okay. So it was just a translation and version 2.0ing that you had to wait for.
Yeah, but between those two times, 2011 and 2018, where the English book was published, between those two times, I decided that nobody wants to read books anymore, and I made a whole video course. Mm-hmm. And so the book is actually based more on the video course.
So is it the video course is on your YouTube channel, right?
What's that?
So the video course is on your YouTube channel, correct?
Partly. Okay. Partly it's there. I started uploading it there, and then life kind of took over for a bit. But,
where was it originally published, the video course?
It still is on Udemy.
Udemy. Okay, yeah. That's you can sign up for like classes on Udemy, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, nice.
Like the introduction course was taken by I think like it's almost 5,000 students by now.
Nice. So that's still available. So hey guys, if you want to check out the creative workflow course, so you don't have to read a book, check it out on Udemy. They can find it through your name, right?
Yeah. Doron Meir, which is the way it's spelled.
Doron Meir. Meir, Doron, Droron Meir. Your name's going to be on the video, and we'll probably have a link. So
they know how to Google stuff.
They'll figure it out. They're smart people. You're smart people. If you're watching this video right now, you're clearly clever. Okay, you did the Udemy series, and then translated from, or like rebuilt the book based on the course that you did.
Yeah, because it kind of really changed the whole sort of. I think it became more solid in terms of like it became five elements, and there was some color code added, so each element has its own color, and it became a lot more colorful and fun to read, whereas the first one was really kind of like
just
dry.
Text heavy. Yeah. Did the first one have the illustrations or no?
It did, but the the new ones are way better and more colorful and all.
I was kind of hoping you'd say something like, it did, but the illustrations were kind of shit.
That's what I said. In a nicer way.
All right, awesome. So then you were finished the Udemy course when you started working with us on Pony, right? I say you started working with us as if I was there before you were. I believe you interviewed me. So
no, but you were there before me in many ways, right? You did the Pony series.
Yes. But yeah. I think meeting you, your story of meeting me is one of my favorite stories. I like to tell other people about other people meeting me.
You can tell it if you want.
No, it's all right. It's better when it comes out of your mouth. Go ahead. Talk about me a little bit. No interview is complete without a story about this jerk.
No, I'm not telling that story. You should.
Okay. I don't know if I remember it right. But it also, I didn't remember at all until you told me. So, because yeah, I didn't even realize I was doing it. And then you were like, do you remember when I met you and you did that interview?
The interview was fine. It's the first time you talked to Jason Thiessen.
Yeah.
Right? That's what we're talking about.
Yeah. That was, I thought that was in the interview.
No. It was after. It was actually the first work, the first work meeting.
I've been messing it up, and I misunderstood the story that you told me, and I thought that was the interview, and I still don't remember it either way. So see, this is why you have to tell the story, not me.
Okay, so we're confusing the guys. So basically, what happened was, Thalia starts working with us. And she never worked with Jason Thiessen, who's the director of the film at this point. And then the first sort of kickoff meeting where he's sort of pitching the scene and all that, basically she was like, they started talking about some creative, like they had a creative discussion. And she basically called him a dick. in the first meeting. And I'm like, but he's such a nice guy, doesn't he?
Yeah. Jason is very easygoing. And we
like the least
passed each other in ever. We knew each other in passing. So
yeah.
And I don't know why I didn't get called up for that. Actually, I thought it was worse. I thought I did it like several times, but that's the story that I remember. Okay.
It was fine.
That's not so bad. That's not nearly as flowery as the version that I've been telling everybody. Anyways, so
I told you should tell the story. But
sorry. So
made me work on that film, and your gag is the funniest gag in the whole film.
Which one? The Fluttershy?
Fluttershy?
Yeah, the big monster and Fluttershy.
Names are terrible. Yeah. So she's kind of consoling the big monster. The monster is crying. And
I'm so glad that made it in. Anyways, there was lots of funny stuff in that movie, but yeah, that's my favorite thing that got in that I did. Okay, so highlight for you working on that movie, what would you say on that production?
The highlight for me, interesting question. It was a very unique experience. I sort of I moved to Canada. I was new in a country, and I didn't really know anybody actually, and I had to be in this directing position, and that was a challenge that I knew it would be a challenge, and it was a challenge. It's helpful that that you have this kind of that people and that you have this kind of camaraderie. So there was a big challenge that way. It was the team was amazing. Jason is one of my best friends now, and we really had a great connection, and we wrote we worked together on writing as well, and we sort of helped that way, and it was a really, really creative time. I didn't get to storyboard very much, but
that's like you said earlier. If you're directing, you should be directing, and if you want to storyboard, you should storyboard, right?
Yeah, and that's sort of part of my philosophy, because I feel like if you're supposed to be the general, right? Yeah. And you're sitting basically in the tower, basically looking at the chessboard of everything that's happening, right? Mm-hmm. If you also go into the trenches and you start drawing stuff, you lose that.
I was gonna say maybe drawing stuff isn't what you do anymore, but let's say you go in the trenches and you get shot in the head. Now there's no general.
But the thing is, you lose that oversight.
Yeah.
You know, because you fall in love with your own stuff, just like any other guy. The whole idea of having a supervising position is not because the supervisor is necessarily smarter or, you know, better than anybody else. It's just that they have that position, and they're removed
the overview,
from the actual thing. Right?
Yeah, so they're not going to look at something and have that kind of attachment to it that we do when we're producing.
Exactly. And when I work, you know, and I'm close to what I'm doing and I'm boarding, then other people see my mistake that I would have been able to see.
Oh, you kind of cut out there. You're back.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So I'm saying when I'm working and doing stuff and doing in boarding, and I have a director, they often can see mistakes that I would have been able to see if I haven't been actually doing the work. So you need that separation. And so, but I sometimes I have this sort of guilt, right? Because I remember even on Ponies, one of the storyboard artists, she was like, you know, she wanted to show me stuff a bit, you know, like pretty often.
Yeah.
And I was like, if I see it every day, I become too close to it like you.
Yeah.
So I need a little bit of separation. I need to be able to see it with, you know, like with larger intervals of time so that I can be detached.
Yeah.
And I think,
especially since you're working with, like, I got to be honest though, obviously I have a bias. The whole crew on the production, they were doing such beautiful work. So the more you see it, like the more you like want to hold on to it. I mean, Ainsley and Nicole did some stuff and Chris and Dave, obviously, everybody did stuff in that movie that I would like see their sequences. And I was like, can we just make this the scene and just throw out what the script says and just do what they did instead? Because and yeah, obviously that we produced a lot more material than we needed at the end of the day. So something had to go, but it was hard to know what you could pull back on when you look at it and you're like, no, this is beautiful and you made this. Look what you've created.
Yeah, and there were a lot of script changes and stuff like that happening in the middle of the whole thing. So yeah, the guys were doing an amazing job. And like every version was awesome, and then we would get some new scripts, and we'd have
to throw it all out. Let's leave behind the Pony movie for a second. Can you follow up with when you were on Secret Life of Pets? Highlight from that one, and then the Willoughbys after that. We'll do like a little spotlight if you highlight on each production.
Secret Life of Pets was a super interesting experience. When you
were remote on that one, right? Like
I was remote on that one.
That's Illumination?
That's Illumination. Okay. I think they had a lot of board artists on that one, and I think that's basically their process from what I understand. They just sort of gave even the same scene sometimes to multiple artists, and they just threw stuff at the wall and saw and then they basically made the film in edit. Yeah. You know, so at least that's the first year of production, which is when I was there. And then I took I had a pause because I wanted to work on my own on the book, actually, on the courses.
Okay.
So I mean, maybe it changed up, you know, once they had a more concrete script. But when I started, they didn't have a script at all. Like they had basically some idea, and they said my first assignment, one of the most fun assignments I've ever had on a film, was hey, you know, we need some ideas on how pets could be funny, so give us some ideas. And just that, I kind of doodled ideas. It was fun. Yeah. And then they were like,
that sounds like heaven. That sounds so much fun.
It was great.
Just to not have a script and just to get to make up whatever.
Yeah, it was great.
And
they had time. They had, you know, it wasn't stressed at all. And then they started, they started doing, you know, like giving us some you know, pages, some scenes, and I would draw that, and then, you know, a couple of months later, I would get the same scene written a bit different. I would do it again.
Yeah.
It
I
was
mean, sounds like the best part of it was definitely the part where they said throw ideas at the wall. And you specifically are uniquely qualified that way. I know there are people, including myself, that have a blank page, and I, as much as I love the idea of not having to board according to a specifically written script, you see a blank page sometimes and you're like, what do I do with this? Like, and you sort of stare off into space and wonder for hours and hours or days and weeks, God only knows. But you have this, basically have created a creative workflow process that is kind of like a guidebook to how to do exactly that with nothing. So.
Well, it's part of it. So the idea, the thing with creativity, the word creativity is, it's a weird word that has two different meanings. And one is the creativity of coming up with unique, original ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what not everybody, but that's what a lot of people mean when they say creativity. All the TED Talks and all that, when they say creativity, how does creativity work? They always mean that section. But there's also,
they always mean forming a paperclip into how many different objects or whatever.
All of that. But there's also the other section, which is execution. How do you execute an idea without getting lost, bored, confused, going too much into the details and forgetting about the big picture, lose your context, like we said before. So all of those things are in the execution and not only in the idea. So I think that's something not a lot of people are talking about, and the book does. But the idea creation stuff, how do you start from a blank page and get to something? That's actually, I can tell you right now, like, just the gist of it, because So basically, it's very simple. Basically, it's when you look at a blank page and you think, I can't come up with an idea, right? Like, that means I can't come up with a good idea.
Yeah, so just put down bad ideas.
If I tell you come up with bad, stupid, silly, partial ideas, that I'm sure anybody can come up with a lot of bad ideas.
Yeah.
And so the whole secret is, how do you come up with a bunch of bad ideas and create a good idea out of that? And the way it works is basically like building something from Lego. So you dump a lot of stupid little pieces, and then you build something beautiful out of that.
So that's basically the whole industry process, though. That's every production. You start with the concept, and then the writers go and they write a script out of it, and then we get that, and we're like, how do I take this brilliant idea and make it even better? How do I add onto this? How do I take this to the next level? And then you're adding your visual jokes, and you're adding your your staging and your cinematography, and then then they revise it, and then it goes to animation, and animation says, how do I make this character more likable when they're moving?
Yeah, and every department in their little universe plus it and add some more ideas.
Yeah, they're taking our bad ideas and making them better.
Our good ideas and making them better. So,
and our bad ideas. There's a lot of bad ideas we get.
So one of the really beautiful things, I think, in the creative process is the fractal microcosm nature of it. Because if you look at an animated film, right, you have the script. Let's start with that.
Yeah. You
have the script, and the script is a project that is made of these pieces and bits and pieces of how do you come up with the idea, how do you shape and all that, and then that's a creative project. And then on top of that, you start going like, okay, now we have to do the storyboard, and in the storyboard, each sequence works in the same way, and then every scene in the sequence, every shot in the sequence works in the same way, and you can go through the same iteration. So it's kind of a small set of rules that you repeat over and over again. Then you go into
is fractal too. That's a perfect description for it.
Exactly. You go into the animation shot, and again you have the same sort of thing. The same sort of way of cutting it. And so you can even talk about the three big layers. The blocking, you block it, then you shape it, and then you refine it. And that happens all over the place, in script, in storyboarding, in a single animation shot.
Mm-hmm.
by the way, fun detail. I don't know if you know that. So in 3D animation, so I told you around 2002, I got into 3D animation.
Yeah.
So, and at that time, you could basically you could when you animated, either you could tell the computer to give you the all the in betweens, or you could tell it to sort of, it's called stepped animation, sort of only the keys and it jumps between them, right? Like a pencil test in 2D, right?
Yeah.
But I wanted to do so let's say I have a pose here in 3D, it's like a drawing, and I have another pose, and I wanted to be able to draw the in-between, to sort of create the in-between without going through the whole process of going and changing it back and forth, and I wanted it to be automated. So I came up with this little idea, with this little script that did that.
Yeah.
And I had a guy I worked with, Justin Barrett, his name is.
Yeah.
And he actually created, like, I can't code, but he did. So it was a pretty simple script. So he did that, and then and he called it the Tween Machine.
Yeah.
So all it did is in between two stepped poses.
Yeah.
And that took off, and it became an industry standard. For
nice. I mean, yeah, back in 2002, things were still just getting started, right?
Yeah. So a lot of people are using that still, I think, to this day.
Was that with Maya? Or
yeah, it was Maya.
Okay.
Yeah, it was Maya. So yeah, so I'm always, it's always a fun thing to throw at the.
Yeah. I basically invented 3D animation. No big deal. Okay, so I like that we were like, oh, what's your favorite thing to work on this dumb project? Like, what did you like? What was like a highlight of this job? And like, I did a cartoon of a cat. Also, here's some philosophy. Art is a fractal. Like, that's good.
Right there.
Yeah, no. I mean, that's it. It was I like that direction that we just went into.
Why did I bring up Tween Machine at all? Oh yeah, because I wanted to say that. So that tool was part of that philosophy of layering things and blocking them and doing it, in this gradual way, so that you start with the big blocking, big pieces.
Yeah.
I forget
big
the
pieces.
word.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's that pieces. Thank you. And then you sort of refine it as you go along in stages. And
then you refine it, add a little twist on the side, put an animate button in there, just push that.
Yeah. Animate. Oh, I have to
No worries. Do you want me to pause? Do you need to...
No.
Okay. So you worked on Secret Life of Pets, you took some time off, you finished your book.
Yes.
In English.
I finished my video courses.
Okay.
And then so Secret Life of Pets was before the ponies.
Oh, so I had that backwards. I thought it was Secret Life of Pets after.
Nope, Secret Life of Pets, then the ponies. Sorry, then finishing the courses, then the pony, then I started working on the Willoughbys.
Yeah.
The Netflix
show. Was it right after Pony that you jumped on Willoughbys?
Yeah. Yeah. It was.
Oh man. Okay. Wow. I came in so late in the game. I wish I'd gotten in sooner, because that production is my everything. I love it so much.
It's great. And so that was directed by Chris Perrin, who is a great director and a great guy.
I feel like his drawings could cure cancer. Like, if you just look at them enough, you could just not have cancer anymore. His stuff is so good. His stuff is so delightful.
Yeah,
it is painful.
Amazing. So fun thing about Chris Perrin is that he was basically when before Facebook was big, there was a Blogspot, Google's platform, and so a lot of our animation artists were on there and just posting stuff, and Chris was one of them. And that was like a new thing in that era, where you could see top industry guys, and even if you lived in Denmark or in Israel or something like that, you could sort of feel like you're inside the industry, because people would like top industry people would just post stuff. and process stuff and all that. So that was great. So Chris Byrne, the first sort of he was one of maybe my favorite guy in that sphere. I was always like waiting for him to post something, and then just when I was starting to think about transitioning to storyboarding and making my first attempts there, he actually published a course.
Yeah, was it with the schoolism program?
Schoolism, yeah.
So
and at that time he was giving feedback.
Yeah.
So that was after like I already did the Aardman, Shaun the Sheep. So I already storyboarded at that time for a while.
Yeah.
But as soon as
you want to get better.
Yeah, but also I wanted to meet the guy, like
for sure.
So yeah, I went on the course and I met him through there. Because he was teaching that like actively, he was giving feedback and all that. Now he doesn't do that; it's just there.
It's just the recordings now. Yeah.
Yeah. So now, but that was with some feedback. So that was an amazing experience, and I learned a lot. And then years afterwards, we worked on Willoughby's together.
So first of all, Chris Byrne on his blogspot, he used to post these comics with a big blue doubt guy and a little yellow happy guy. Yes. I didn't know those were his. Until Priscilla told us about that told me about that storyboard course. Her and Des had both taken his storyboard course as well. And they told me about that, and I was like, I want to check this out because they're like, because he's amazing, and I was like, this would be great. I'd just love to do a little workshop. And I'd already been boarding for several years at that point. It's like, whatever, who cares? You always want to get better. So I looked it up, and I saw one of the little thumbnail images in his profile was this comic, and I was like, I used to look at those when I was in college. I had no idea those were his. Also, when you introduced me to him when he was coming around for Cloudy at DHX, I thought you guys were buddies. Like I thought you guys were friends. And then me and Chris and what's his name, Mark, went and partied and like wandered around Gastown for the night. And I was like, but I thought you guys were like bosom buddies. I didn't realize that you hadn't worked together. And yeah, but I guess you had taken his course, and he'd given you direct feedback, which is lovely. But yeah, you like, oh yeah, this is my friend Chris Byrne. I think it's we all call each other friends. Like I introduce my coworkers. I'm never gonna be like
added to each other after the course. We were in touch, sort of.
Yeah.
But we never met before I came to Canada.
So. Yeah, and so I didn't know that was like the day that you met him. I thought that you guys. Yeah, that was he was working on that Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs TV show the DHS was animating, and him and the other showrunner came down to Vancouver for like a day, and and you introduced him to me.
Right.
And then
I'm trying to remember if that was the day I met him as well, or whether we met each other in person before.
Okay, I feel like that. The story that I remember was that was the day you met him in person for the first time, and he went to go to whatchamacallit, that Irish pub. I think we went to an Irish pub for drinks, and it was like the Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs crew, and I tagged along because I was like, oh, it's Doran's friend, I can go. And
Meir was there at the same time. Did you know?
I didn't.
Meir was at the pub at the same time, so I met him as well. It was an interesting night that night.
Yeah, I didn't even know he was there. I wonder if he's going to be participating in the festival this year. I should probably check with Barney. He's been a couple times before for TAAFI.
He did the effects on the ponies. You know that?
Yeah, I really wanted to pull him on for the effects panel we're doing, but I think he's spoken twice at the festival, and we're like, we probably shouldn't keep pulling the same people over and over again, but got that little Michelle Gagne in my back pocket just in case. Anyway, so yeah. Sorry for those multitude of interruptions. I just love these little weird interconnectedness. Like I had no idea that that's who made these comics that I used to look at when I was in college, and then just never really registered with any of this.
Those were so amazing, and they basically were like what's the name of the Pixar film? Inside Out.
Inside Out, yeah.
Very much Inside Out. It's basically the voices inside his head, and he just created characters out of them.
I just love that giant. giant blue self-doubt. It was self-doubt, right?
Yeah, it was self-doubt, and there was
Huge self-doubt guy.
a little happy guy, which was
Yeah.
pink, I think. Yeah, I can't
I
remember.
thought there was a yellow and a blue one. I thought it was just two. I don't remember a third. I think the pink guy was Chris because he was flesh toned. And he was the little dude in the middle. But there was like a little joy guy, and then there was you froze.
Definitely the yellow and the blue, and definitely blue was the self-doubt one.
Yeah, there was this massive self-doubt. I really felt that. I didn't know who made those. I don't even remember how I found them, but I remember finding them being like, I love the way this person draws. And I didn't understand how the internet worked, and I didn't really keep track of people or things very much. So never really made that connection. And yeah, not until after I'd met him, and after we got a party, and after I started working on the Willoughbys, and after I was done for the first round, is when I found that out. And I was like, oh my God, this whole time, like, this is someone whose work I connected to years ago and didn't even realize it.
Yeah.
Didn't even realize. This is the Cloudy with a Chance of Meatball story guy. Whoops, I didn't even know. Like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's an amazing artist and a great guy to work with, and a great guy all around. One of the most generous and sort of giving people that I've.
Yeah, Chris, don't watch this interview. We're just gonna gush about how generous you are and how it makes me sick. He's too. I had to fight him to not let him pay the whole bill on his own birthday.
I still do every time, and I should win more.
Okay, so highlight of the Willoughbys is clearly working with Chris Pern, because we can't stop gushing about it. But besides that,
there was a lot of stuff. There was a lot of stuff.
Willoughbys was a good one though. That was a fun project.
Interesting people, and the company was run in a way that was like they really tried and succeeded to create a family feeling, you know, to have this kind of team spirit, and I think they did that. And a lot of good friends of mine here in Canada are from that production.
Yeah, everybody that I met on that team, I was so there for such a short period of time, both rounds. Like, there was before Netflix optioned it, I guess, and they were finishing it up, and I was brought on just for the last few months, and then went on to Cleo with you. And then after Cleo went back on Willoughbys again for a couple of months to help them finish it again, because they had to redo it because Netflix was like, let's change things. Yeah. So, but everybody that worked there was they were so nice. Everybody was so talented, so hardworking, so just like pleasant in general. It's because, you know, there's, like, I'm not going to say that there are assholes everywhere, but there are. I don't understand how I've managed to go so much of my career without ever having to work with them. I'm the asshole. Anyways.
Maybe that's the conclusion.
Yeah, I think that's the secret. Anyways, so let's continue on this path. And Willoughbys was 2018 is when you were on that. When did you wrap up on that? Do you remember?
Well, I moved to Cleo from the Willoughbys, so
yeah, we moved about the same time.
That was 2018. So while the book, I wrote the book basically while I was at Braun.
Okay.
So that's when I went to.
Oh, your video froze. Just a heads up. We'll give it a little trim. And you're still frozen. Uh-oh.
Just again, and I met.
Okay. Pause.
Well,
your video completely froze for a long time. We're gonna reverse, and you said the book you basically made while you were at Braun. We can just either trim this out or not.
So I wrote the book while I was at Braun, working full time doing Willoughbys, which is nice because the book has this kind of connection to the Willoughbys in my mind, right? I look at it and I remember that time, which was a good time. So anyway, so I went to CTN the year before that,
Yeah.
And there was a book stand, with the animation books. And I just, just on a whim, I went to the guy and was like, "Hey, I have this book that I want to write. Do you know who should I talk to?" And turns out that guy was the guy to talk to. So he just gave me my card and
Convenient.
his card, sorry. And then, like a year later, we signed a contract, and then I had half a year to produce the book.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, that's a piece of cake. Famous last word. That's a piece of cake. I have the courses. All I have to do is to take the texts from the courses, which is all written already, because I read through the camera, written already. Just arrange it a little bit, put this there and all that. Half a year of intense work with taking days off, like every holiday, waking up almost every day at 5 a.m., working for 3 hours until 8 a.m. on the book, then going to work, then coming back, and oftentimes also, working it for another hour or two on the book. Half a year of that was just the transition from the courses to book format.
Oh no. Okay, I totally switched timelines on you. And I thought that you took time after Ponies just to work on the book, but it was before Ponies that you were doing the Udemy courses and then translating that during Willoughby's.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of good though. I feel like that production especially, it was a place to be creative. Like I felt more inspired to do just to draw, to paint while I was working on that movie than I have. Like I felt more energized creatively working on that than on any other production I've ever worked on. No offense to all the other productions, I love you, dears, but yeah, that was a step up.
When the process works well and when you have good people around you, those things create energy, right? It's like going to the gym or something, or going for a walk. It doesn't take away energy; it gives you energy in a strange way.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it is good, and I think honestly having the team that we did, like the people that we did, was just amazing. It was good. It was a good group of people.
I gotta say, it's really always about people. In the end, that's kind of one of the things that I really learned. The way I usually put it is, if you need to climb the Everest, if you do it with a great bunch of friends, and it's hard and it's difficult and it's frustrating at times.
Okay, but like people die on Mount Everest.
If you don't die,
you have to leave your friends to die if they run out of oxygen.
Let's imagine nobody dies, Thalia.
All right.
Anyway, so basically, difficult is not the opposite of fun, right? So if you have a good bunch of people around you, then you can do difficult things and it's still fun. But if you have like a group of people that doesn't get along around, or that you don't get along with around you, then difficult is not fun, or even easy is not fun. So it's really all about people, always.
Yeah.
And I learned to really take care to have, to try and be in situation, put myself in situations where I have really good people around me. And I have to say that I'm in that situation right now, and I've been blessed throughout my career to mostly be in those situations. All of my friends, all of them, every single friend I have is from the industry, from either my students or my or coworkers, or all of them.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of in the same boat. I'm married to my career, so I don't have friends and family. I just have coworkers. It's basically a one-to-one replacement. So yeah, I'm in a similar boat. And it's not bad. It's not bad. There's honestly no group of people I'd rather know. So
that's really part of the. I think that's part of. Okay, so I remember the first time So when I started in animation, I I didn't go to school or anything like that. It was early in Israel. There was nothing really great. But I took one sort of evening course while I was still in the army back in Israel. So I took that evening course. It was 3 months, and it was given in a studio. And then by the end of those 3 months, I worked so hard on that. Like I worked so hard. I was super enthusiastic about it. And then the guy who was teaching, who was also the owner of the company, said, "Hey, do you want to work with us?" I was like, "Yeah."
Nice.
Since I'm in animation, but what I wanted to tell with that is that I remember the first night we had where I went over. We went as a group to one of our somebody's house, and we watched Jungle Book together.
Oh, nice.
And it was like, finally, people that understand me and I understand them. It's such fun because, that's part of the.
Oh, you froze.
It's a very specific sort of vibe that you can't really find anywhere else.
It's honestly, I think that really is a big component for me as well. Sorry to dominate your interview, but yeah, being able to just sit down and watch cartoons with people, like the fact that me and Carla lived together and we got to just absolutely freak out about the Ninja Turtle series together. So I guess there's somebody to watch it with, so that when I'm screaming and slapping my roommate, at least there's somebody there. This is why I can't go to movie theaters with people. Anyways. So.
That's funny.
Anyway, so biggest inspirations. Let's hear it. So the course that you took when you were in the army, and for those of you who don't know, in Israel, there's a mandatory military service for all people. Is it just the men or everybody?
All of them.
Everybody.
Men.
Everybody needs mandatory military service. It's just so that you're not just making poor people sign up for the military to survive. Everybody does it It's 2 years. Or is it 1 year?
Well, I don't know what it is now. When I was doing it, it was 3 years for guys and 2 years for.
Okay, so so you were in that military service, and how did you find out about this course?
Oh, well, so basically, so I found out because I looked for it, but
okay.
But
so why were you looking for it?
So the reason I was looking for it is that when I grew up, my dad used to like my dad is one of the most creative and talented people I've ever met, and I'm sure way better than I am.
I'm sure you don't have a bias just because he's your dad.
No, seriously. I'll show you his insects photography. It's amazing. Everything he touches is amazing. But he'd never pursued it because he had kids in an early age and so on. So
you just did everything with your birth, Doron.
Yeah, like ruined his life. Okay. But we had at home the Walter Foster, what's his name? The guy who did the really early
Foster Wallace. Oh,
Walter Foster was the brand, was the forgot his name.
Fucking hell. Sorry.
Anyway. Yeah.
Hold on a second.
All right. I'll tell the story and you can.
It's not Windsor McKay, is it?
No.
Okay.
So anyway, we had those Walter Foster things with all the cartoons and how to draw the cartoons and how to do the animation, and so ever since I can remember myself, I did those drawings.
Okay.
So I sort of, and so that was a part of many other creative things, drawings.
Sorry, in my brain, I wasn't even sure you were talking about books and artists. I just looked up Walter Foster, and it's like all how to draw, and I'm pretty sure I had one of his How to Draw Horses books when I was a kid.
Preston Blair is the guy.
Oh, Preston Blair, very different person. Yeah, I have a Preston Blair book in my cabinet.
So,
okay, Preston Blair's animation. Yes. Okay, yeah. Glorious.
So I would copy those drawings and sort of try and do stuff with that. but it was part of many other things I was, you know, creative stuff I did as a kid. So it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to be an animator or something like that. So, but when I got to, and then I went to the university and I studied the math and animation, math and the computers, computer programming and stuff like that. And I noticed that I don't care at all because all I want to do is draw. But around that time, Aladdin came out. Aladdin, 1993. And I watched that film, and I came out of that film with a, you know, after years of not seeing animation, ever since I was a kid, I didn't watch animation.
Oh, no.
I watched Aladdin and was like, I could not stop smiling for a week straight. And then I went and saw it again, and I went and saw it again.
Phenomenal.
So the first film, one of only 2 films I saw 3 times in the cinema. Yeah. It was Aladdin and Finding Nemo. Those are the 2 films. So I watched it 3 times, and you know, and like, just it dawned on me. It's like, hey, this animation thing that I'm seeing on screen, somebody's doing that for a living.
Yeah. So you had the book in one hand, and you're like, this looks like what that. This is what that is. This is this. I do this.
Exactly. So I went back to the books and I started drawing, you know, copying again and really studying it like with a grown-up brain, not with a kid brain. And then from there, that's why I was looking for the course, and that's how I sort of got. So I kind of slipped through the cracks into the industry.
There you go. You slipped gracefully into the cracks.
Some dreams come true.
Yeah, why not? Right? Why not? That's amazing. That's a good little start. I like that it's the Preston Blair books. Oh, you just went out of focus there.
Yeah, I know. I'll just this.
Oh, there, you're back. All right. I was like, oh no, don't end the interview. No, don't leave me here alone. This has been absolutely phenomenal. I wonder if there's anything else that you kind of want to brush on. I feel like I brought something up earlier and was like, what about this? And then I forgot what it was. So hopefully there was hopefully there was nothing.
Not that I can think of, but
no, that's a good story how you got started. Where are you gonna go from here? What's in the future for Doron Meir?
So right now I'm doing this beautiful, you know, this great TV show with a great company, and we'll see what happens with that. It's a long-term project, but you know what I'm really excited about? And that's VR.
Oh, right. Shit. Yes, please talk about VR a little bit. This is a good topic.
Because here's the thing. When I started in animation, and especially when I transitioned to 3D, it was still a time where you kind of had to figure out your way. Like you had to figure out the systems and what works, what doesn't work.
There was no online YouTube tutorials on how to Maya, right?
Yeah, and there was no
YouTube
started, but there was no like a roadmap, and it was like all up. It was the cutting edge, right, of art and technology. That was animation back then, and then I think that's where VR is today. How do you tell a story in VR? How do you technically overcome some of the things? How do you do great art? And like what is it like to even create this art? What is it like to storyboard in VR? All of those things are amazing questions that are people are working on right now, and I'm really interested in taking part of that. And I'm sort of thinking of how to participate in that. Hopefully, keeping one foot in animation, one foot.
But how do you storyboard in VR? Like all I can think of when I think of storyboarding in VR is just existing in real life. And I look around myself and all of the things that I can see in all around me, and think I would just want things to happen as they do in the real world, from all sides. And you give an audience an opportunity to see it from a position and watch things unfold, and then they can decide, to follow what trail they will. But that it's an immersive experience, right? Which is so
cool. It's a whole different thing. And I watched a few films in VR.
Mhm.
where you can't interact with anything. And I thought, you know what, VR has to be interactive, because otherwise it's like being invited to a meeting and you
Yeah.
can't participate in the meeting. So it's an unpleasant experience for me.
Yeah.
So, for me, it has to include some interactivity, even.
Are you talking interactivity like with what happens, or interactivity with being able to move around in a space?
Being able to move around is, unless it's part of the storytelling idea, like you have to sort of figure out where you need to be or something like that.
Mhm.
I don't think it's enough. If you can just move
Yeah.
around and look at things,
Yeah.
not enough. It has to be a bit interactive in some way. And there are many ways. We don't have to go into all that because it's a
Yeah.
whole other topic. But I would recommend for anybody who hasn't looked at it yet to look at Quill, software for Oculus called Quill. The guy who is like, there's an amazing guy who helped them develop the software, and he's one of the best artists ever. His name is Goro Fujita, one of his biggest fans, and just look for him. And he's doing a lot of really amazing stuff in VR. That's his full-time job. It's what he does. And they have contests and like a weekly topics thing. So yeah, just look at that, because it's just like this. I tried it. It's really difficult. It's really strange, because when you draw in VR, you draw in the air, nothing to. There's nothing that you kind of push against. So difficult. It's amazing.
Is it kind of like, I feel like it'd be sculpting with smoke, right?
Yeah, a bit.
You have a cloud of smoke and you're just kind of wafting it around to get the shape that you want.
But
that is really cool.
Think about sketching a head. How do you sketch a head? Do you start with the circle?
No.
What do you do?
I always do the eyes first.
Okay, so.
And then I build the face around it.
Yeah, so that's a good.
I do it wrong. Don't do it my way, kids.
But in VR, actually, that's kind of better, I think. But anyway, I like doing I start with a ball, and the ball is a circle on page. But what do you do in VR? You can't actually, like, if you draw a circle, it's just a circle. It's not a ball.
Yeah.
So what do you do now? And even
when you paint this, are you painting it like as if it's the surface of a sculpture that you're painting, and the sculpture is just invisible, or?
That's basically kind of it, yeah. So cool. I'm not going to give you any advice. I haven't tried it enough, but there are plenty of YouTube things that you can see, also by that guy Goro.
So next year, when you come to do a panel at TAAFI, it's going to be about your VR project that you're definitely going to have off the ground, or?
Who knows? It's time, but I have several ideas in that arena. We'll see.
Well, this, to me, we're going to have these conversations 50 or 60 times in the future, because I am actually also very excited. You make me excited about VR. Every time you talk about it, I kind of get like a little amped up. I'm like, this is going to be great. This will be cool.
It is great. It is great.
It's like the difference between going into a house and doing a walking tour versus looking at a house through a window and seeing the set decoration,
I'll tell you something else, just very briefly. So one of the latest things I saw in VR as an art is this: you find yourself on this huge, like very tall structure, iron structure, right?
Oh, is that the one where you have to try and step off the edge?
No. So that one is 3D, right?
Yeah.
Just like traditional 3D built with polygons, stuff like that. But I'm talking about the quill, something that's art, like with brush strokes. And they added some like wind, and the whole structure is kind of shaky. That was the single most scary experience I had so far in 3D.
Where did you do that?
Because it's art.
Yeah.
Because there's something in art that like your brain adds something to it, right? You don't get everything. Your brain has to involve itself and tell some of the story itself. And that kind of made it so strong. I could not be on that tower. I have fear of heights. I can manage it in other things, you know, in most of the VR stuff. In that 3D drawing, I could not be there for more than a few seconds. I had to turn it off.
Oh my goodness. Where can I see this? Where can people experience this? You need an Oculus or?
Yeah, any Oculus headset, including the new Quest or the old Quest, which is the one that they have that doesn't have cables. So they have something called Quill Theater, and you can see it there. And you can come over, and we'll make sure we
sanitize the mask,
uncover the mask, and then you can try it.
Yeah, I'll probably be wearing a face mask too because I'm a little monkey. All right, well, Doron, this has been delightful. I love that we touched on your career, how you got here, all the projects you've worked on, and how all the philosophy, the creative workflow, and the VR stuff. Like these are all this has been great for me.
Thank you. Yeah, it was fun. I'm sorry I did not let you speak at all. I was just like blah blah blah. Blah,
no.
blah.
I got plenty in there. This was an interview for you. Nobody's coming to the festival to talk to me or to listen to me talk. I want you to tell your story. You've got this long career. You've written a book. You've been producing all this work. I think this is exciting, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where you go with VR. Please make something happen so that I have an excuse to invite you in for a panel in the future.
Yeah, help me out. By the way, speaking of projects and stuff like that.
I don't know how computers work. It took me 3 days to set up the Zoom call. Anyway, sorry, go ahead. Sorry, speaking of.
If we have people watching this who are from Vancouver and from the animation and gaming industry, look for Vancouver Animation and Games Pitch Group Vancouver. It's a meetup group that I'm doing to help people and myself pitch projects. Just have a look at that.
I would really love to see somebody start up a group like that in Toronto as well. So, hey, Toronto fans. Hey, Toronto friends, if you are in Toronto, start up a pitch group Toronto because...
Talk to me. We can have a group of pitch groups.
Yeah. We'll have like little back and forths and be like, hey, whose pitch group is better? And we'll just be like, it's
all right. Logos with different colors.
Yeah. We'll just have like little soldiers in the lore of best pitch group. I can't do anything without it being a competition. I do not know what's wrong with me. Anyways, thank you so much, Doron, for your time. This has been delightful.
Thank you for having me. That was great. I enjoyed every minute.
That's awesome. Okay. And I look forward to being able to go into a structure in more than one person in the same space in the future and look through your VR headset and be terrified of being on a building because that sounds really fun.
It is fun.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Have a great night. Thanks. And thank you so much to our viewers for checking out this video, casual conversation with Doron Meir about his workflow book and long and storied career. So take care and goodbye.